Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Q2 BRG TRIRIGA Users Group. We're happy you could join us today for our session. We're going to go ahead and get started with a look at our agenda. Today's session will be broken into 3 parts. Part 1 will be an end-user case study / spotlight presented by the Administrative Office of the Courts of California. Part 2 will be a look at the options you and your organization have to go TRIRIGA mobile. And finally, we'll close with the user group today with Part 3, TRIRIGA best practices, technology strategy, and roadmap. And then finally, we'll close with some Q&A section. So today we're going to be conducting some polling questions. Your answers to these questions help us better develop user groups that fit your needs. Our first question applies to the TRIRIGA applications you currently have in production. So I'm going to give you 45 seconds to go ahead and answer, and I'm going to open that poll right now. While you answer that question, we're going to move on to, as always, if you have any questions, we ask that you use the WebEx Q&A or chat features. If we're unable to get to your questions today in this session, we'll respond immediately after the session via email or phone. We do appreciate your questions and comments, and we try our hardest to answer all of them as best we can. So let's begin part 1 of our session today. As I mentioned before, the End User Spotlight is the Administrative Office of the Courts of California, or AOC. We're going to jump in and hear Terrence McCoy, AOC's Senior Business Applications Analyst, walk us through AOC's TRIRIGA journey from inception with version 8 to rebirth with TRIRIGA 10. As I mentioned, Terrence is the Senior Business Application Analyst for the AOC. He has more than 10 years of experience in business intelligence and 5 years in TRIRIGA experience. He leads the program through multiple platform application and hardware upgrades, and the most recent being a blended upgrade from 9.1 to 10.2 that he'll speak to today.
Thanks, folks, for joining us today. As Nicole mentioned, I'm going to cover the TRIRIGA journey here at the AOC and with a snapshot of how rock stars do it here. I've got 4 points to cover. My first one being the life before TRIRIGA at the AOC. I'll then move on to a implementation story of how we did TRIRIGA, and then how we took those lessons to upgrade like experts for our final round. And then I'll end on what's next for us here at the AOC.
All right, so we're going to move on now, let's see, to section 2, Go TRIRIGA Mobile. Some of you may know Anthony. He's going to be our presenter for Go TRIRIGA Mobile. If you aren't already familiar with him, he brings more than 20 years of experience in the areas of design, development, and implementation of electronic hardware and software systems to BRG and BRG clients. His experience ranges from planning of technology process improvements to hands-on application development within the IBM TRIRIGA platform. A fun fact about Anthony is that Troy, his manager and our presenter later, forced him to take this picture with a moose in New York so he could use it at opportune moments like this one in front of a large virtual audience. Anthony is a senior solutions consultant at BRG specializing in TRIRIGA.
If you're on the phone, you probably heard of TRIRIGA, but the TRIRIGA mobile options is not a list of options for futuristic cars. It's the options for handling mobile solutions, or mobile products for TRIRIGA. As most of you know, there are 3 options available today. There's the SAP Work Manager, Tangira Mobility, and IBM WorkLife. Why mobile? Well, this slide gives you some ideas of how mobile is changing the way we work. Businesses agree that they're achieving their business objectives better with a mobile solution. 94% of users agree that the devices are making them more efficient in their jobs. And in best-class companies, 2.5% are more likely to use mobile. And then this is kind of an interesting fact, is that more than 100 million people upgraded to iOS 6 in the first week that it was available.
Thanks so much, Anthony. I think we're going to send it over to Troy now. If you don't already know Troy, he brings over 15 years of experience in the deployment and management of IWMS and EAM solutions to BRG and BRG's clients. He's responsible for setting the direction and technology enablement vision for the TRIRIGA practice at BRG. He also oversees the delivery of TRIRIGA services to BRG clients and manages assignments of resources and skills to BRG's implementation projects. And as if that wasn't already a tall enough order, he also fosters the strategic partnership between IBM and BRG.
So thanks, everybody. What I wanted to do is just spend a few minutes talking about technology roadmaps and how you might be able to leverage some services that BRG offers in that area, and just general kind of awareness about strategy and roadmap discussions. So to kick this off, wanted to start with this. One of the goals that we have at BRG, our focus, of course, is on real estate and facilities, operations, technology, and general excellence. So we feel one of our primary goals here is to help our clients climb what we would call the maturity curve in terms of the real estate and facilities operations, not only technology. Obviously, technology plays a big role these days in those operations, but we also look at industry best practices and overall kind of operations related to real estate and facilities. And the way that we do that is we define this simple kind of a maturity curve, and you may have seen some similar maturity curves out there, but we like to apply this to real estate specific. And if you look at the levels defined here, on the left, obviously, the processes are not well defined. We're in a bit of chaos, and as we move up the curve towards the right, you can see the capability of the organization increases and the maturity of the processes increase. So we go from more of an ad hoc type of systems and processes to more well-defined, reportable, and then predictable systems. So the way that we help assess and move people through the curve there is through what we call a technology strategy or a technology roadmap. And what we've done is put together a project framework specifically around these strategies. So I'm not going to go into all the detail here, but it's a pretty simple breakdown in terms of a phased approach in these type of engagements. And so we start with some planning and learning basically around the organization, and then move through what we call current state analysis and visioning type of a phase. So there we're looking at current state processes. We develop what we call an issues and opportunities matrix. So that's identifying shortcomings or areas for improvement, and then what are the opportunities to address those. We look at the current state technology, and then we vision for future state on processes, technology, that type of thing. So we move through and do some more detailed requirements, and some of the outputs then would be more strategic documents. We would typically have a technology roadmap that has a specific timeline about how to move from the current state into the future state. We can actually do detailed business case support if we need to do that to help people justify the investments in IWMS or other changes to the organization.